War Eagle, everyone, War Eagle. It is game day. It's Birmingham Bowl day. I am C Dub. Joined with me is B Will. We're -2. Ike and Mike are both covering the Birmingham Bowl at Protective Stadium. So it's just going to be me and B Will for the day. But we got our War Rapport family here. And in fact, we actually are up to Bama Ghostman. Thank you for coming a member of the War Rapport. We appreciate you. Also, Justin Thomas. Welcome to the War Rapport family. If you want to figure out why you cannot comment, it's only insiders or in supporters who are commenting with us. You can do that by becoming a member with us, guys. $3.99 will get you a supporter level. $5.99 will actually give you not only the access to comment on our lives, but you actually get access to exclusive content. And guys, during the off season, we're covering basketball as well. We're going to be doing some really cool film reviews. You definitely don't want to miss out on this content that you're not going to find anywhere else. You definitely want to become an insider with us and join one of the most amazing YouTube communities for Auburn athletics. Also, guys, it presents a troll-free environment. So on a day like today, regardless of outcome, you can come fellowship with fellow Auburn supporters and fans, and you won't have to worry about outsiders coming in and messing up your day. So you definitely want to become an insider with us. B, we're less than 30 minutes away from the Birmingham Bowl, man. Talk to me. You were able to, you had to cut out a little bit during the war room. How are you feeling about this game still, man?
Man, I feel like we're playing with house money today. Y'all forgive me if my connection is a little unstable. You know what I'm saying? Wife working from home, pulling all down my bandwidth, pulling my bandwidth down, but I forgive her, you know. I'm feeling like we're playing with house money because don't get me wrong. I said this before I jumped off the show, but it would be embarrassing if we lost to Houston. I don't care if it's a great group of 5 team. Losing to UCF in 2017 was embarrassing, and they were a great group of 5 team. Losing to Houston today, even though we were not a great team, 6-6, I don't even know if you could say we were a good team this season. It would be embarrassing to lose to a great group of 5 team. I don't want to lose to a great group of 5 team. I am hoping that with the head coach designing and calling plays, that we see something we haven't seen this season, which is an offense that for all 4 quarters makes sense. Execution may still be an issue because we're missing some guys, some important guys. Offensive line, an already shaky position group for us. Quarterback is TJ was the backup, but he hasn't been given the proper due as far as preparation, season long repetitions with wide receivers for an entire week. So now he's gotten 2. He's gotten 2 weeks. Yeah. We get to see what he's doing. We get to see what those wide receivers have to show after a year of ups and downs. I'm encouraged about the wide receivers, honestly. I think Kobe and Shedrick really broke out, and we've got something to look forward to there. But man, I don't want to lose to these guys. I don't know how good they are. I don't care how good they are. I do not want to lose to Houston because I don't want to hear from anybody. I don't care if it's a 1-point win, a 30-point win would be nice for us, right? That hey, great, we did what we were supposed to do, handled our business, but we can't lose to Houston, man. We can.
Jeremy Redding, I mean, we're gonna definitely be pulling on some of you guys in the comment section. Jeremy Redding, good to see you, man. Not embarrassing to me if we lose. Houston's experienced and successful 2021 team is playing next year's AU team without the incoming players. That's a good way of looking at it. I know for me, I just don't want to be 6-7, right?
Right.
I predicted 7-5 regular season, and I was kind of lowballing it compared to the rest of you guys. I just don't want to go into spring 6-7. That's just that. And if we were to lose this game, it would be a 5-game losing skid, which I don't know when was the last time that ever happened. So I don't want to see that either. So I definitely want to see us go out and get a dub. I want to see us get a victory in this game because I just want us to put November behind us and end this season on a high note with beating what appears to be a pretty good Houston ball club. B Will, what I want to get from you is we you know, we in true fashion, I've been doing Auburn will win if. We did it with Ike, Mike on Wednesday. I want to do it with you. Auburn will win this game if,
We run for 200.
and you look a
We
little
run for
frozen,
200.
by the way. Uh,
Oh, my bad.
so yeah, Auburn will win if we run for 200 yards, 200 plus yards.
It's got to be 200 yards. That's what it is. We have to run for 200. Our will needs to be imposed. We need to either the quarterback has gotten some tremendous work here in the last few weeks in practice, and he is ready to fully take this on. If he hasn't done that, then we have to protect him. And I am going
Yeah.
to trust that the head coach has seen practice. He knows what we're up against. Even though we've got some critical starters out on defense, I think they can. Mason has the ability to test this defense and say, hey, all right, so let's throw something at them. Let's see how ready they are. If we can have the effect on defenses that we've had for the majority of the season, then we for sure can test our offensive line. The effect that we've had our defense on other people's offense, then we know how to test our offense to know if they're ready. And I expect us to have been ready and equipped to handle a Houston defense that are no slouches. They are not
Right.
slouches. I am not taking. I know we make a lot about recruiting in the SEC, and of course, recruiting is important. But we see every year somebody is going to lose to a team full of players that don't line up, that don't match up on paper against the team that they have. It is so much more about development and preparation and will. The type of development that you can have for 2, 3, and 4-star guys. Absolutely, you can line up against some 4s and 5s and beat them. And I think that same kind of gap exists between us and Houston. We aren't too far off from the type of talent we've been pulling the last few years. They got some guys that could have very very closely, I'm sure, would have either been recruited by the guys who we have recruiting right now, or they could have been playing here, man. Again, Roger McCreary, first round bound, 3-star
Yeah.
cornerback. Man, it's not that far off. So for that reason, we need to do what we are best at. No, let's take that back. We weren't best at running. We need to be best
No.
at running.
Right.
That needs to
Right.
be what we're best at today, so we can fully take advantage of what should be, at the very least, somewhat of a size advantage, even if it's not a productivity advantage. Our offensive line, their defensive line, size-wise, weight-wise, we should be the bigger group. We should be able to lean on them. I want to lean. I want to lean like Dro.
Set with the shoulder.
Yeah.
So I want to first off welcome Lutson Kirkin, number 43. Appreciate you, man, for
Hey.
becoming part of the family, and rest in peace to Philip Lutson Kirkin as well. I will say this, since you mentioned it, B. One of the things that I'm looking at is the play of our offensive line in this game. Jamil Irvin will be starting at center. And at right tackle, Killian Zaire will be starting in place of Broderius Ham, which opted out of this game. So that's something to keep an eye on. You mentioned that our run offense has kind of been underwhelming this year. Disappointing considering our running backs and how talented they are. It's been difficult for us to basically push around our opposition against a defense for me that is statistically been pretty impressive. We made mention that against some Power 5 teams and teams that are equally matched, they have not been as successful. But against inferior competition, they've been stout. So the question is, can Auburn stay ahead of the chains on first and second down, keep Finley out of third and long situations, and really have the playbook wide open? I just want to see how these guys look, with guys in different positions, a new face up front on the O-line. How well do we look running the football? I think that's going to be the thing to kind of keep an eye on moving forward. DeMario Nettle says, "Run the tank." We did a facts or nah. Some of you guys may have already checked it out. B, do you still stand by the fact that Tank will have at least 25 carries in this game?
Carries. Okay, so I said that. I'm going to change that to touches. Definitely 25 touches.
Okay.
They might not be all carries, but I do think Tank gets the load of the work, because I think that's why he came back. I think they had to say, listen, man, you want to leave. We understand that there's some reasons for you to leave. We're going to make sure that those reasons you want to leave are not the reasons we're going to make sure those aren't reasons anymore. And I think part of that, at the very least, is how much he gets used, not just running him into a stout defensive line every game, but games where we had room to run, where we had an advantage running, we didn't do it as much as we could. I think that's something that gets fixed. I think he gets a lot of touches for that reason. He wants to be the bell cow. He wants his name in lights. He wants the records. And I think that's fair because he's that good. He's good enough to be the guy that carries us over the top in more games than he did. I expect them to feed him a lot, whether it's through the air or on the ground. I expect to see a lot of Tank.
Corey Weber asks, who's going to be the RB3 today? Is it going to be Jackson? Is it going to be Ingram?
I would expect it to be Jackson because Jackson was the first guy outside of our trio during the season. He was the first one to hit the field outside of Tank and Hunter and Shivers. So with Shivers gone, I'm just assuming, I don't know, I don't know how much we'll see either anything past the first two. If Tank is going to get as many touches as we think, then that doesn't leave too many touches left for Jarquez. But I expect we'll see Sean Jackson get in there before any other running back. Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see like on like your 4th and 1s, who's going to get the ball. If they're going to go past Jarquez and give it to it'd be interesting to see if it's in mop-up duty, if we see Jackson get in there or Jordan Ingram. That's definitely something to keep an eye out on. Shaq McDaniel, appreciate you for the super chat. Also, we got a question here by Shaq, and I think this is what he was trying to super chat us. Are we going to see Demetrius Davis at QB today? What are your thoughts on this?
What's crazy is Harsin has been asked about this multiple times because everybody's been like, is he practicing? Asking the other players, is he practicing? And then they were asking Harsin, is he going to play? And they said, well, we're working on some stuff for him. Whether that makes it to the game, we'll see how the game goes. But okay, so knowing Harsin, just from what we know this first year, I don't think he's going to put D Davis in the game just to appease the fans, even if he knows that the fans want to see him. He's not going to do that. The situation would have to call for it. So maybe they have a few things. I think they asked Dana Holgerson, hey, do you expect to see Demetrius Davis? Did you game plan for both? He was like, oh, we got to prepare for everything, which means that they haven't ruled it out. They recruited the dude. He's from Texas. They're Houston. So I'm sure they know what his skill set is. But I would love to see him. I think we would all love to see him because we want to know what we got in everything, in every position, every player. We want to know what we got. I don't know if Harsin does that. Harsin kept guys out there on one leg for the rest of the durations of 2-3 quarters. So I don't know if this is if TJ is playing well or we're winning comfortably, we would have to be up by like 3 scores in the last half of the third quarter, maybe 4 possessions going into the fourth before we saw D Davis. And I would love for D Davis to be a human victory cigar. That'll be fine. But I also would like to see him if it's serious and the game is tight and he's just got a couple series, man. I want to see it.
Yeah. I don't think that's gonna happen, B.
I don't either, but that's what I want though. That's what I want.
I could see them putting in like a package, maybe like in short yardage situation, to give him the opportunity to use his ability with the offense. I could see that, but in order to see him get actual reps, it's either going to be one of 2 extremes. One, it's disaster. Finley really is injured and can't go. Or number 2, we're blowing the doors off of Houston and he gets an opportunity to get in there and play against Houston. I don't see either of those. I hope the former definitely doesn't happen. I'm not sure if the latter happens. I would love to see it. But the best case is that Harsin puts him in a certain scenario that calls for his athleticism and he's at quarterback. And we may do that 1 or 2 times in the game. Like that's realistically how I think we end up seeing Demetrius Davis get into this game. Hopefully Finley, and I'm rooting for Finley. I mean, that's our QB1, but hopefully he's taking what the defense is giving him. Harsin is calling the game in a way that allows it to slow down for him. He doesn't have to press. He doesn't have to try to be all world. And he's playing so well to the point to where there isn't a real need for you to bring in Demetrius unless it's one of those situations where you may need a mobile QB to do something that Houston hasn't seen before. So,
Agree.
Joe Cowell here says we need ball control, time of possession game to win. I agree wholeheartedly. I think we're going to run the ball. It's a little wet For those of
Right.
you not in the Birmingham area, it did rain this morning, so it's a little wet. Protective Stadium has turf. So I don't know how big of a factor that will be throughout the game, but you don't have to worry about muddy fields or that sort of thing. So it'll be interesting to see if that plays a factor in today's game. But I already know before there was any rain, Auburn was going to be running the ball a lot in this game. That's my expectation. I will be surprised if Auburn does anything but that. We're at the halfway mark. We're 15 minutes away from the game starting. Let's pause to acknowledge our sponsor of the War Rapport, Ethan Daw.
All right, business owners, high-income professionals, listen up. Have you ever considered that by funding a 401k or IRA, you are potentially creating a massive tax burden when you retire? Contrary to what you hear from traditional advisors and accountants, 401k or IRA do not save on taxes. It postpones the tax and tax calculation. Wealthy people don't have access to some special tax code. They use financial products, parts of the tax code that are available to everyone, including you and strategy. Would you like to learn how to take advantage of the tax code? All right, well, check this out. Our guy, Ethan Daw, the owner of Innovative Financial Solutions, has clients throughout the USA and is a nationally recognized expert in the veterinary community. You know how we love to say the puppies. So contact Ethan at 251-243-6038 or email him, ethan@ethandaw.com. Ethan Daw is your alternative to traditional financial planning. Tell him the War Rapport sent
you. Yeah, I think I see Mike G on the ground up there using the War Rapport account. What up, Mike? And I think Ike chimed in here too, because I know Ike talking when I see him spelling it like that. We at you. What up, man?
Yeah, that's Ike all the way.
Yeah, they
all right. David Hegler, appreciate the super chat. Who starts at inside linebacker? I'm gonna go Steiner. That's a vote for me. Who do you have, B?
I actually saw Papo's playing.
Papo is playing.
Papo's playing, Steiner's playing, and Wooten is the star.
Okay.
He's playing the star position out there. So that's who was warming up and starters lining up out there. So that's what we got. We'll see what Steiner's got, man. We heard nothing but good things about him and his potential preseason, especially from JG, talking about how smart a guy he is. And he played okay when he got in there during the season, but there was really no replacement for Zacoby when Zacoby wasn't in that lineup. Instinctually, physically, he was the better player among the linebackers, and those are some big shoes to fill. So let's see what Steiner can do. I mean, he's gotten some reps during the season, some live action reps. He's also gotten a lot of practice now. So come on, let's see what you got, man. I want to be encouraged going into the new year about our linebackers, but we'll see what they got.
Nathan Rohr, appreciate you, man. We need to feed Tank the rock all day long. What do you guys think? Harson's going to keep it on the ground or air it out a little? That's a good question, Nathan. I'm curious to see. I think we're going to get an opportunity to see how Harsin actually calls plays. And I think this is what's so intriguing about this game. I do expect him with our personnel to be a bit conservative to a degree. At least starting out. But then again, I could be wrong. He may be aggressive and go all out to try to win this game. But I know where our strengths lie, and I expect him to play to Tank's strengths. I am, to your point, B, I'm curious to see what do we do with Tank coming out of the backfield in terms of the passing game. Do we have any plays drawn out? Do we have wheel routes for him? What are we going to do? And I know that Hunter actually has really good hands as well. So I'm curious to see if we utilize him in the passing game as well. Yeah. He made some impressive catches out of the backfield. So if I had to guess, Nathan, I would say that Harsin is going to be kind of run heavy in this game. But I do know that his goal is to be balanced. And I think a big part of him being able to do the things he wants offensively is going to play heavily on our ability defensively to stop the other team. He mentioned in recent pressers is that the reason why we kind of get away from a balanced game plan is because we're playing catch up to the opposition. So if our defense holds and keeps Houston off the field, then that gives Harsin the opportunity to open up his playbook and be a little creative, take some risks, or be conservative, depending on how he's feeling this morning. So, B, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think what everybody would expect is with how he's been game planning, what we're good at, what TJ's skill set of how adjusted he is to the offense, and even with his fundamentals that they would run to protect the game, to play conservative defense, pitch a shutout or close to one. And maybe that's a little pie in the sky, but I think our defense has to prove a lot too, because we have two guys on that defensive line who are mulling over whether or not they want to go pro, and
Right.
Derek Hall and Kobe Wooden. So they've got something to prove out there, which is important. Guys who are out there with something to prove, it's a big deal. The same with Smoke Monday. And I think that everybody who is there, and even the people stepping into the guys' roles who are departing, McCreary and Zacoby, I think they have something to show too and to prove as well. So I think that defense is going to give us a fighting chance. You know, my rule is 27 or under. The defense did its job. Now, maybe 27 points being given up isn't ideal, but if the offense can't score 28, then the offense, I mean, come on, man, you got to be able to score 28 in college football. So that being said, I think everything points to a conservative game, but I also think Harsin wants to come out here and make a point, man. I'm calling the shots now. I got the offense. This is what I do. I've coached them up for 3 weeks. I'm calling these plays. I'm going to get these guys open, get them some shine, show you how this offense could have looked this season, even with the depleted and rundown offensive line. I'm going to show you how I do this. And we will see. I know he's a hard-nosed guy. He wants to be physical and control the game with physicality as well. But I also think he wants to put his stamp on the program to go out of this season and into the next one. So I would not be surprised if we see him airing it out a little bit more than everybody's expecting.
And I see here, Cappy Man is saying, so we seem like we're getting mixed reports. Dang, Papo not playing today. So
okay.
I
don't know if I'm a little more, a little less worried, because if it's Wooten and Steiner, who's the third linebacker out there?
And Redding says Hope just updated on 3 that Owen
okay.
play.
Okay.
So he probably was dressed out, practicing, but just not playing.
Gotcha.
Good question about Harvey. If Papo does not play today, do you think he's thinking about heading out? I think Papo needs to come back. I think Papo has been a bit too injury ridden. I mean, he could take a chance, but I think Papo has the opportunity and the ability to actually get drafted rather high. Talented guy. I just don't know if that will happen if he was to enter the draft this year. I would encourage him to come back.
He's got the physical tools, but even when he was here, we saw in some of our film reviews, Papo, there was some sacks he didn't wrap up on where he could have gotten guys down and he didn't. Some tackles that he was kind of prone to missing. I think fundamentally he's got some work to do before he can be the draft pick that his physical skills should kind of promise him to be. So I definitely think he needs to come back. I don't think him sitting out is because he's thinking about leaving. I think it's because he knows when he steps out here, he needs to look elite every time going forward. Maybe a great bowl game after missing some time would have been it. But if he's even a little bit hampered, that's not on the table, because you can't come out here and show halfway and look injured after a very injured and just okay when you were on the field here. It's got to be lights out. And if he can't do that, then he's not going to do it. And he's just going to wait until next season.
And you don't want to be a liability if you're not 100%. If you don't feel right, you're going to be playing in space today. So you need to be right so that you're not actually hurting us when it comes to open field tackling as well. So if he's not feeling it, then I definitely think he needs to come back for sure, to answer your question, Harvey. Corey Weber says Joko is someone who I want to see today. Cam Riley in limited action has played fairly well, so I'm definitely expecting to see him in this game at some point. But I want to see Joko, man. I think Joko had a very impressive hit in special teams this season. I forget who it was against. It may have been A&M.
It was LSU.
LSU.
We were feeling good that game. It was not A&M. I remember.
Yeah. Okay. Right. But I want to see how Joko actually plays on defense when given the proper minutes. So that's definitely someone I'm keeping an eye on if we definitely see Joko out there. William, appreciate the super chat. Empty the tank, War Eagle. I agree wholeheartedly. B, let me ask you a question, man. And by the way, this was a few minutes ago. It's probably like 8 or 7 now minutes to game time. Ike or Mike is letting us know. So what I want to ask you, B, is with McCreary out, our best cover corner, McCreary had a way of taking away one side of the field in terms of passing.
For sure.
Houston they have a tank of their own, even though he's a lot smaller, more niftier. 5'10", 155-pound Nathaniel
Oh
Dell,
wow.
who's kind of like on the Dotson type, if you recall. A guy who can play in open space. They like to get the ball to him. He can make plays. What do you expect to see defensively in terms of how Auburn plays coverage? Is it a continuation of what we saw in the Iron Bowl, or is Auburn keeping everything in front of them?
I would expect that when you lose the type of corner that McCreary is, that you play in front of you. So we're going to see some zone. I would expect to see more zone than man because of that. We've seen pretty much everybody else in that secondary getting taken advantage of or at different points throughout the year. And Roger McCreary didn't have that problem, but he's not there. So what do? You play safe. You keep things in front of you. That works. The same way it worked all year is you give up some yards between the 20s, but when they get into the red zone, they stall out and they go for it and miss it, and they can't get it because we were great fourth down defense, or they're going to get some field goals. And as long as our offense is doing the job of getting down the field, scoring field goals, but also scoring touchdowns, then it doesn't really matter. We control the clock and hold them to 3s and 0s, and we run it down their throats and score touchdowns. We're going to win. Now, I want to give some room for people to surprise us, because what we know is what we've seen, which is why we know that Roger McCreary is an outstanding cornerback. We know that Zacoby McClain is an outstanding linebacker. And here we are going, well, I'm not sure what's left over there. I remember in 2016, Carl Lawson left, and I was thinking, what in the hell are we going to do about a pass rush? And then Jeff Holland was sitting there like, I got it. It's instantly like that season. He just came in and wrecked shop.
Yeah.
And I want to give some room to the newcomers that we have not seen, the guys who have been on the bench that we haven't seen, that they can be good, that they could have been developing this entire time. They just had some fantastic people in front of them.
Mhm.
And I want to leave room for that possibility. So I'm not going to act worried. And I also think that Derek Mason should have the benefit of the doubt with with people about what he can do with defense. I mean, it definitely took some time to get going, but I mean, come on, man. Our averages are outstanding this season, top to bottom on defense. So I expect that he will know what to do, that he knows these guys' strengths and weaknesses, unlike early in the season when he had to kind of guess. He had guys back there off presuming what they could do or based on practice. But once the game started, he figured out what their skill sets were, and I expect him to put them in a great position.
Well said. You were not able to give a prediction for the game as we're about to come to a close for this show, getting ready for the game. What's your score, man? What do you got?
I don't like that. Don't do that to me, man.
We all had to do it. Who wins this game?
31-24. I expect that our defense will hold them below the 27-point mark, and our offense will get above the 28-point mark. Nice and neat. I'm assuming it's nice and neat, you know. Let's go with that. 31-24. And this pick does count towards our bowl game season.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. All of us picked Auburn, by the way.
Right.
I could not pick against Auburn in this game. It would break my heart. It would break my heart. I want us to win this game. Harvey asked, are we finally going to see Drayshawn Miller?
I hope so. They said he was practicing.
He's practicing, but I'm expecting to see a lot of Torrance in this game. If we see Drayshawn, I would be celebrating. I would definitely be celebrating that, but I don't know. I think that's what makes these bowl games so difficult to predict, is that you just don't know what you're going to see with guys opting out. I think it's an opportunity for Miller to actually get in the game and show why we've been excited about him coming from West Virginia. So I would love to see it. I think I got my money on Torrance in this game, but I definitely want to see him. We've been wanting to see him all season. So we'll see. Well, that's guys, we're about to get ready. It's 11 o'clock. So we're about to get transition to the game. We will be back here, guys, to cover the halftime, kind of go over the first half stats. So you definitely want to tune back here, guys. We are the War Rapport, War Eagle. Let's have a good first half. See you guys.
See you at halftime. Peace.